Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, a platform dedicated to industry professionals all around the world. You're bold, brave, you dare greatly, you innovate, you solve problems, you make the world a better place. We are broadcasting on site, SMRP, here in Orlando, Florida. It is the 31st annual SMRP conference, and it is probably the biggest one yet. That's what they're saying, and I am not going to call them out on the carpet on that one because it is buzzy out there. And if you're in the world of asset management, or if you want to be in the world of asset management or maintenance or reliability, you need to be a member of SMRP. So go out to smrp.org, find out more, get engaged. It is a must. That's like number one, numero uno. And then you get to connect with people like Corbin, who's in the hot seat. He's going to be talking about torque monitoring. How about that? It just sounds cool. Sounds manly.
Oh, you bet.
All right, let's get cracking.
That's what everyone wants to hear about.
I know I do. So there's one person, and there's a lot more, I think. So you having a good conference?
Yeah, absolutely. First time being here. So
really?
Well, yeah.
Are you an SMRP member?
No, I'm not. No, this is first time I was called to come to this conference. So I will next year. It's been great so far. Yeah.
You need to be. You need to go out to smrp.org and become a member.
Right after this, I'll do that. Absolutely.
He's not a member. Yeah, you take a picture. He's not a member.
Yeah. Hold on. What's going on? Oh no, it's Carmen's here.
Yeah, it's your fan club.
Perfect.
One fan. I have one fan.
I thought it was my mom, but no, we got Carmen too, so that's actually two. Yeah.
So anyway, so you're having a good conference. You're going to become a member of SMRP. There they are, right over there, right next to us. Give us a little background, a 411 on who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Corbin Belknap, kind of been in the mechanical power transmission.
The K is silent, so don't even think about saying the K.
Yeah, it's French or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been in the mechanical power transmission world for about 10 years, and then joined Perceptive, so kind of in the condition monitoring world for about a year, but then previously, and then my last role that I had was also really focused on wireless sensors on, motors, bearings, gearboxes, kind of the whole drivetrain, and been really focused this whole year mostly on the steel industry, but recently I've been given a number of assignments to branch out as well into a wide number of different industries. So
to help define power transmission, what is that? I have. Because I'm a transmission lineman, of course, I'm thinking, hey, he's climbing towers and he's doing some of the utility stuff.
Yeah, so I think like mechanical power transmission. So that would be anything where you've got an electric motor, a bearing, gearbox. It's all within the transmissions that's helping to move, products in an industrial space from point A to point B, right? Whether that's moving grain from point A to point B, or coal, or it's moving packages in a warehouse at an Amazon facility or something along those lines. So it's that whole drivetrain from the electrical side, the motor, to the mechanical side, the bearings. So.
All right. Talk to us about torque monitoring. What in the heck is that, and make it cool? Yeah,
I'll make it as cool as possible. So, what we do a lot is obviously what a lot of other people do in terms of, wireless vibration and so on, but we specialize in torque monitoring, right? So that's where we put a strain gauge onto a shaft, onto a coupling within that drivetrain. So if you think about like a steel mill, you've got these 6,000 horsepower electric motors. We'll put a strain gauge on that shaft, a wireless strain gauge, and it will actually let us know what the torque that's actually being transmitted through that shaft is at any given moment. So you might say, why is that important? Why would you want to know what the torque level is? Because, one, from a reliability standpoint, because if you've got a coupling, you've got a gearbox, you've got various components in that drivetrain, there are certain torque limits that you don't want to exceed, right? Because if you're exceeding those on a regular basis, then the chances that those products will fail is greatly increased, and downtime could be tens of thousands, or you get into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we can, provide reports to say, well, listen, you for 30 times this week, the way that you're running this particular drivetrain, it's going to result in failures of what we're predicting because you're running it too hard. Also, we can measure what we call the torsional natural frequency. Everything has a natural frequency. If that's changing, then we know that there might be cracks that's developing in that coupling, or leakages of lubrication. That's a really early indicator that something's going catastrophically wrong. You need to do an inspection on that equipment so you're not going to be losing tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands of dollars downtime.
Is it easy to install this device and to begin pulling the analytics off of it?
Yeah, so what we would do is our team installs it, so the Perceptive team. So we're going to do that every single time because we do need to place the sensor on the shaft, and there is just essentially a few different little spot welds that's welding the strain gauge to the shaft itself. So as torque is being transmitted through that shaft, it's actually straining the gauge as well and producing that sort of data. So our team would come in, install the strain gauge, and install the receiver. Obviously, you can't have wires that are being wrapped around the shaft, so it's wireless to a receiver that we would then either route into the customer's local system, or what we commonly do is provide weekly reports on torque and what that actually means for the customer.
How do you know you're over-torquing a shaft? Is it just data out there and just saying, hey, here's the manufacturer's recommendation of the torque of this thing, and you're blowing by it, or you're violating it, or whatever you say?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one thing, right? We'll look, right, if it's on a spindle or universal joint, it's pretty easy to look up what are the torque limits of that. If it's a gearbox, we understand what the torque limits of that are. So that's part of the equation. The other part of that equation is looking at things such as the natural frequency, which would give us even further insight, not just to say that we know that you're exceeding the manufacturer's limits, but we know that something is going wrong here, right? Even if the past 3 months you haven't exceeded it, we can sort of tell if cracks are developing in shafting and so on based off, that data, right?
But you have to have sort of a baseline. If let's say I'm running my shaft and I finally say, hey, Scott, you've been running this shaft for, 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then I call you, and you come on out and you give me that whole torque solution. Right. I've already got 5 years worth of wear and tear in this particular shaft. Yeah. How do you normalize that?
Yeah, so, one, we need to develop a baseline over time. And part of the manufacturer's data can certainly help with that. Yeah. So that just actually takes some time to develop a correct baseline of where we would go, and that's just through detailed inspections of the data over a set period of time.
Yeah, I would have said I would think that the manufacturer's recommendation is sort of the starting point, sure. And then you can sort of put the product or put the solution in and then say, hey, see, it's different now.
Right, yeah.
Which is probably the case quite frequently.
Yeah, and we have a lot of times where, they want more and more production out, right? So, they're looking for some sort of indication based off, maybe we start with the manufacturers, but then over time, we can adjust it. Maybe it's capable of more, because different manufacturers might put in different safety factors into the equipment. But they're looking for feedback. Are we babying the plant too much, or this particular machine, or can we run it harder, sure. Right? Because that happens too, where they need to they need to run more production through that specific facility.
Can we
do it? Do we need to upgrade the drivetrain? Right? Or it's going way beyond the capabilities of what it is, and we need to adjust accordingly. So that happens quite a bit with torque monitoring.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's something new.
It is. So we've really have a heavy presence with torque monitoring in the metals industry.
Makes sense.
But we've also utilized it quite a bit in a wide number of industries, and it's kind of growing its presence there. Even on a short-term diagnostic standpoint, a customer wants to put a different type of coupling in, one that has like a torque limiting coupling, and they're not sure what torque level they need to place it to be apt to slip. You don't want to place it to where it's going to slip at so low of a torque that it's just going to constantly slip, and then you don't want to put it at that torque limiting coupling at such a high level of torque as well, where it's essentially not limiting the torque and it can cause damage. So by looking at the torque data that we provide, we can also give a customer an idea of how to properly select equipment if they don't want ongoing, torque monitoring services for, 2-3 number of years, right?
What do you see sort of from a future perspective? Things change quite rapidly around here. Mm-hmm. How are you seeing your business changing?
Yeah, I mean, I do feel as though if you we started to really pioneer this, sort of service when it comes to torque, I do think that's going to have, rapid growth. I think, in the next 4 to 5 years, we're going to start to see a lot of other industries adopt this sort of technology. And then there's a lot of customers out there who are really realizing that maybe a reactive maintenance approach, right, is certainly costing them a lot of money. And there's a lot of great technologies that are coming on the marketplace when it comes to wireless sensors. And I just think that's just going to become the standard in the industry going forward, that a real realization that you have to have some sort of monitoring, or from a profitability standpoint, it's going to be very difficult to compete. So.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. I think that organizations, but I do think there's a bright spot. For many years, a lot of this stuff, for lack of a better term, was considered voodoo. Yeah. And now it's becoming mainstream. Sure. And now people are embracing it more and more. Whatever that whole reliability approach, that asset monitoring approach, is becoming definitely more approachable. And I think that if you're an organization, and that organization is, you want that organization to be resilient, you can't help but have a digital conversation. You can't help have that monitoring conversation. Right. And finding companies like Regal Rexnord is an example of finding those Sherpas, of being able. How do people get a hold of you, my friend?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe I got my business card there. It's best to reach out to me. My phone number is 864-270-8061 is the best.
You active out on LinkedIn?
Yes, I am. Corbin Belknap.
Yeah, the K is silent, so don't even go there. Belknap. Belknap. There it is. You were great.
Right,
that was so cool.
It's good. First podcast. We'll do this tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, you're gone. From what I understand, that's what that's all about. All right, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. Thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, and we're going to have all the contact information for Corbin out on industrialtalk.com. So reach out and connect with Corbin in a big way. We are broadcasting from SMRP, the conference, the 31st annual SMRP conference here in Orlando. It is a great event. It has people like Corbin and others who are really focused on solving the challenges of today and doing it with a happy heart. How's that, Corbin?
That's beautiful.
That's a happy heart.
That's beautiful. I'm inspired going forward.
Yeah, you should. All right, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
All right, that was Corbin. Corbin Belknap. The K is silent. There's a K in there. Belknap. So reach out to him. Put that on your, bucket list to do, because you will not be disappointed. He knows his stuff. That is the company Regal Rexnord. So look them up as well. Go out to their stat card, which will be out on Industrial Talk. So don't worry about it. Find out more about Corbin and the company, because it's important. All right, as you can tell by the noise in the background, we were on site, dead center conference floor and interviewing some of the best in reliability like Corbin. You need to be a part of SMRP. Go out to smrp.org because, if you're in that world of asset management, maintenance, reliability, and everything in between, you need to be connected. You need to be connected through smrp.org. All right, we're going to have more. We've just started. We just started scratching the surface at SMRP. Be bold, be brave. Dare greatly. Hang out with Corbin, and you will be changing the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.